Welcome to the Belly Dance Stories podcast, a multimedia production directed by Alexandra Molina and Valerick Molinari.
You will hear inspiring conversations and learn about the ways belly dance has become a powerful channel of transformation in people's lives. Welcome, everybody, to the Belly Dance Stories podcast. We have a very special guest here, Shahrzad. We're super excited to have you. Welcome to Miami.
Thank you. I'm always excited to come to Miami. It's been a few years.
Yeah, before COVID, I think, right? Before 2020?
No, right? The last one we did was like right when we could. We did a little one in like 2021, 2022.
We actually...
Something like that. Something small.
Oh my gosh, so you did come after.
I did.
Okay. All right, cool.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And we did it hybrid.
Nice.
Now she remembers.
Now she remembers, guys.
Performer Development Intensive.
Yes,
Yes!
exactly.
Oh,
It was small. It was small. We were wearing masks. Don't worry.
Cool. So, we know that you've been interviewed many times. We don't want to repeat too many things. So everybody listening out there or watching, we're going to get into more of like a casual conversation. And I wanted to start with, and by the way, if you do want to catch more interviews with Shahrzad, we'll list a few in our description so that you can go and maybe take a look at things that we may not have talked about or some other really good conversations, because she has been on several podcasts before. Let's not make it redundant. We're going to get into some fun storytelling and conversations. But the first one that I wanted to get to is to interview both Val and Shahrzad, since they're both here. Start the conversation off this way, because you two met when you were young and starting out. And I don't know if many people know your story. So the first thing that I want to ask is, Shahrzad, do you remember the first time that you met Valerick? And what were your first impressions of this young lady sitting next to me?
That face. How could I say anything bad when you make that face?
We're still young.
Yeah. Although
We met very young.
we met very young. It's been almost 20 years.
Shut up.
You're like, don't tell them.
Shut up.
It's been almost 20 years. Because I was in my late teens. And I think Valerick was in her early 20s. And we met at a class in New York City. One of Norhan's classes, or I was teaching. It was one or the other. But I think that's the first time I remember meeting you in person. What is the first time you remember meeting me in person?
I think, well, the strongest impression that I have from you was actually from that show. I think she had a weekend intensive, and she talked to me very highly about you. And she told me, I have this student that she's really great, and I think you guys should get to know each other. I think you guys are both great dancers. And yeah, I think I met you in the class. And then when I saw you in the show, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, likewise, because you performed too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we just hit it off. We were just chatting and we hit it off. And we went to a lot of kind of training things together. We ran into each other at a lot of
We
workshops
continue
and
going
stuff.
to New York
Yeah,
for Nurhan's events.
like week-longs and workshops.
Week-longs. And we...
Because you weren't, sorry to interrupt, you were in Puerto Rico.
I was in Puerto Rico back
and
then.
where were you? Where did you live?
I was still in the States at that point. So in my late teens, early 20s, I was probably still around the Philadelphia area and then in the DC area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you both traveled to this one connecting spot city.
Yeah, because that's where, a lot of I was also training with Fatin in DC, but other than Fatin, and once in a while she would host a workshop, and Didi every once in a while would bring in Egyptian instructors, but like the week-longs in New York City were always a big place for like big Egyptian instructor workshops that were within...
In the summer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Also.
in the summer, and they were within like our immediate area.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up going to a lot of those. We did all kinds of
Okay.
stuff. We stayed in
Together, staying
apartments and
together.
doing photo
Yes.
shoots. Remember with my friend
Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very this is a beautiful dance story because friendships always evolve from things, situations like that. You had somebody to connect you, and then you just went off. And over the years, I know that you both gradually got closer. And the next question that I had for you both was, when did you get to the point that you wanted to start professionally working together and collaborating, and how did that happen?
Well, I think one of my first international workshop bookings, we were doing the same event. It was the Montreal event with Angelica. That was one of my first, I think that was like the first year I was teaching internationally, and that was one of the first events that I got to do. So I feel like without even really having to try, I mean, we're already friends and we already got along. So of course, if somebody mentioned both of us, we'd be like, yeah, we'll both do it. It'll be great. But that was the first time that I would say professionally we got to really work together.
And that was a very special opportunity because it was my second time, I believe, in Montreal, in Canada. And then the second time, Angelica wanted to include her, Shahrzad. And I remember us talking about our class descriptions because we're like, okay, I'm going to focus on then the Lebanese stuff, and then I'll focus on this. And even for the show, we had like conversations about how we were communicating without even Angelica.
Yeah, to make
Getting
everything
involved.
like
Yeah.
a good program and complementary, and how our stuff was going to like play off of each other. So we were always very collaborative.
Organically.
Organically, exactly.
But I want to say that the fact that we met young, probably in moments in our career that we were basically looking for the same things together, had the same also taste for teachers,
Yeah.
and very similar values when it comes to dance, that obviously made everything kind of like flourish organically.
It seems like it takes a personality and a mindset to be focused on the future and the career. So it feels like you guys had a similar trajectory that and goals that you wanted to get to. Is that right in saying that? Or at that age, in what was it, maybe roughly early 20s? What was that like for you guys? What were your goals as a professional that had that trajectory?
I had a lot of long-term professional goals, which I think has really served me in having a long career as a dancer. Like, I've always had some long-term goals, and of course things have really evolved over time as well, and I've like pivoted at certain points. But I kind of wanted to perform. I mean, I wanted to travel and teach. I knew I wanted to have a stint of serious performing, but for me, even early on, I knew that wasn't the end game for me, or like the goal at the end. I wanted to do so much learning and development and get a lot of learning from a performance career, but I always kind of was looking at teaching as being like the longer term, big picture thing for me. But like I said, it's kind of like little goals along the way, and then having kind of a long-term vision of what you want things to look like. What about you? What were your goals when you were, I want to know.
I am like right now thinking so hard. I'm like,
Sorry, I meant
oh gosh,
you
what I
must
was
now go back in
thinking.
time, Valerie. We didn't know I was going to ask this, so this is a surprise question for Val too.
I want to say that I was obsessed with learning because, of course, I was coming from Puerto Rico, so I didn't have certain types of experiences and resources that dancers in the States had here. We don't have like a big Arab community there. So for me, it was very precious anytime that I was going out, and like I was very hungry also to learn more. I was very passionate about teaching, and I did wanted it to have international career. And I think also that was one of the moments where I was like, on my first years also moving to the US. So I want to say that at that time, like I was really more like in hustling mode, trying to survive every year. Obviously, moving to a different country, learning a new language. So I wasn't really clear about the full picture or vision that I had, but I was very hungry, and I know something great was about to happen. Like at least I had that certainty in my heart.
Now, I know both of you are very open to learning because that is one of your biggest values. So I want to ask, what have you learned from each other throughout all these years?
That's easy.
Oh, you start. If it's easy.
So I always think about Shahrzad, and I always mention it to other dancers and my student. I don't think I ever, maybe I told you this, but when we met, right, we were young. We are still young, sorry. We're younger and beautiful. And in the dance world, there's, this myth that dancers tend to compete. And for me, I had like a very healthy, competitive friendship relationship. Like I look up to her, And if she was doing good, for me, I felt inspired that I wanted it to be like at the same level of her. And I loved her level of excellence in everything that she does. And that for me has always been very inspiring. Very, very, very inspiring. And how methodical she is. She has a plan for things. She improvised, but she improvised with a plan. Like she makes sure she's safe.
Type A.
Exactly.
Super
Exactly.
type A.
And yeah, and for me, that I'm a little bit more cray-cray, impulsive, I've always been like, what will Shahrzad do?
Oh, that's really cool.
That's nice.
Because we all have strengths and weaknesses, So it's like to see that in somebody else that you aspire, to kind of have those qualities and learn from. I mean, that's why we have connections with, other people. Human connections are very important, especially when we have like open mindsets like that. Okay, I love that. Shahrzad, you're next.
I am ready. But no, I love friendships, dance friendships like this. And I think it's really healthy because there's a lot of kind of toxic competitiveness. And I felt myself at a certain point in my 20s kind of getting more into that, more like standoffish. And I think having healthy artistic relationships with your peers where you can look at what they're doing and feel inspired by what they're doing and not feel like you said, it's almost like, I don't want to call it competition, but it's almost like, look, she's achieving things and she's pushing herself and she's getting better. And I'm looking at that as inspiration to keep working on myself, and as opposed to like finding some nitpicky reason. Well, it's because no, or like getting nasty about it, which I think a lot of people do when they're insecure and they're not happy with where they are. They want to pick other people apart, or just be very envious of people that are achieving whatever and they feel like they're not. Like, it's a big thing. But I've been really happy with relationships like this that I've had long term, where you can really just watch each other grow and encourage each other and inspire each other. And what I was going to say that I love the most about Val, I always tell people, like, there's a couple dancers that I always tell people have always been my favorite dancers to watch. Like, Val has always been one of my favorite performers to watch. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, Val inspires me a lot artistically. I love the way she moves. I absolutely love watching her dance, and I never get sick of it. So you've always been inspiring for me on a very artistic level.
She's making you cry.
True.
No, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna
Beautiful.
cry. Thank you.
And I've told
That's
so many
beautiful.
people that. I'm like, you gotta watch my friend Val. Like, I love how she moves. Yeah, because, especially now, I think a lot of people are complaining about a lot of dancers kind of starting to look the same and dance the same way. And one thing I love about Val is she really has her own style that comes from all of these different directions, all of these different sources that she's studied from, and then she brings her own personality and artistry, which I think we can all strive for as artists, not to copy anyone, not to just learn one style and do exactly what your teacher does, like to really continuously learn and take from all these different places and then make something that's your own out of all those things. And I think that's something that you do with your dance, and you have done. And you've always had a really like unique look to your dancing, and I love it. Especially I love watching you dance in heels. I don't know, I'm just like,
That's you have always
it's
told
the
me that.
Lebanese and the heels, and I'm just like, oh,
She
you work the heels, and I'm
Yeah,
always
girl, you
like,
do.
oh my god.
So true. Yeah.
This
And
is
I
gonna
look like in heels, and she's like, woo.
Yeah.
Love watching it.
You're both super different dancers and performers, different personalities. But I mean, it's so special to hear and just be in a room where the other dancers are just, talking about each other's careers and works. And because you guys have seen each other progress for so many years and you have so many more years to go, I'm sure. But it's always such a healthy environment. I don't think we do that enough, is to sit with other dancers together and be like, hey, like, I liked this about you.
Love on people a little bit.
Yeah. 100% all the time. For
Yes,
sure.
100%
That's how we learn.
all the time. I love loving on other people. I have no problem with positively calling people out and being like, she's killing it, man.
Yeah.
And tell people directly, too. I don't think we tell each other directly enough. Like, that was great. Honestly, not in like,
yeah.
look nice.
I like
Yeah.
that costume.
Yeah, exactly. But like a genuine, appreciative comment. Because people, get very negatively competitive, I think.
It's a good practice, too, to be very thoughtful of what you watch on stage and then thoughtful about the words that you're
How to
gonna
compliment.
share and how to compliment the other person and share with them, because I think that we're very used to either going the negative route and just thinking it, or we're so used to just popping a heart emoji on like the socials and be like, that was so pretty, you did so great, I love the costume. No, just be a little more thoughtful, and in the long run it might help them out. You never know what that other person is dealing with, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's also just good for yourself. Like, it makes you feel better. It just gives a more positive vibe when you're actively looking at things to appreciate about other people, rather than, looking and nitpicking and being negative.
Yeah.
I think mentally it can make a big difference in how you feel about yourself, but then also just like your interactions with other people. That's how you make these nice relationships with other dancers. Even if someone's like, I have plenty of dancers I know that are totally different from me in the way they dance, in the way that they costume themselves, everything, but I can still look at what they do, even though it's nothing near what I do stylistically or anything. And I can still really appreciate what they do. It doesn't have to have anything to do with me. I can just look and be like, that's great. And I see how much you've put into this and how you've created this and you've taken your own thing. And I think that's awesome. It doesn't have to have anything to do with me. I can still appreciate and draw inspiration.
Yeah. Conversations don't have to, always be about you.
That's the thing. Yeah. She doesn't shimmy like me, so she sucks. I hate it.
Okay, let's get into part 2 of our conversation, which is
Ready.
you.
Oh.
Shahrzad.
No.
Sorry, Val, I
Talk
gotta
about
leave you.
Valerick more.
Val,
Let's
you're-
go.
She's ready with questions.
T. No.
All right. That's Val's standard question. What's the tea?
Oh.
I'm always like, what's your story? What's your history? No, but let's get into part 2. A little bit more about your belly dance story. So we know that you started. What I want to know is my first question is, and then you pitch in, Val, whenever you want to, is when did you know that you wanted to be a professional belly dancer? And then what were those steps after that, like, did you write in your journal? Like, did you do all this, manifestation writing? What did you do?
Look, my mom would answer that question because I started when I was really young. When I was like 11 or 12, I started. So she will tell you that immediately I said I wanted to be a professional belly dancer. Like from the get-go, I was like, I'm going to be a professional belly dancer.
Oh,
Yeah.
a
So
little 11-year-old.
Obsessed.
I was obsessed. Yeah, I was really obsessed, and I spent crazy amount of time on this in my teenage years.
Okay, tell us
Crazy
more.
amounts of time, and studied with lots of different people. And I was super lucky to be in the area I was, because I grew up outside of Philly. So we had New York, we had Baltimore and DC within just a few hours drive. And like I said earlier, there were a lot of like workshops between those cities. Like we went to a lot of Egyptian teacher workshops that were in DC or they were in New York with different people hosting. And I got to take a lot of great classes. So I got to study a lot before I was even 18. And then just locally, there were a lot of restaurants actually. So I got to start performing when I was like 17, 18 in local restaurants and stuff like that. And then another thing I was really lucky with was that one of my first teachers, Habiba, she always had live music haflas, and she was very involved with the local Lebanese community. So they would always have like shows and concerts and parties and stuff at like the Lebanese like cultural center in Philadelphia. So I also got to dance with live music a lot before I was even 18. So yeah, it happened early that I decided I wanted to do this professionally. And then I was just lucky enough to have a lot of opportunity in the place where I started to perform, get my experience, and then actually start performing professionally.
Did you ever have any doubts when you were, working or... Let me rephrase that question. Hold on. Let me go back. Did you have any doubts from ages, I want to say 15 to 18? Because I know that age is very particular in the sense of there's so many ups and downs, hormonally. And then there's, because I work with youth. So I work with young girls, and I always see them, they get so excited, but then when they get together, it's like, yeah, like, go girl. So they pep themselves up. But belly dance is such a soloist dance that sometimes I imagine girls at a young age, if they don't have like a community there together, I wonder if they have certain doubts or anything along those lines. But did you go through any of that at that age?
Nah.
You had a support? Was that maybe?
I think there's a couple factors.
Okay.
One is that I had a really weird upbringing. In my teenage years, I was homeschooled, and most of my friends were from I spent a lot of time with the women at my belly dance classes, and nobody was a teenager. All the people I was spending my time with weren't my age group. First of all,
They're adults.
Yeah, mostly adults, and maybe some like late teens, early 20s nerds, because I was into like anime and sci-fi conventions, so I'd go to stuff like that. But still, my friends were usually a few years older than me, so I had really different socialization than I would say most teenagers have, because I wasn't going to high school, so I didn't have high school friends. So I think that dynamic was different. And also, it is my personality. I am a Taurus. I am super stubborn. And if I decide I'm going to do something, like some people, I get it. Kids and even people in their 20s, even people in their 30s will be like, have a phase and be like, I'm really into this right now. And then be bored with it after a year. No. I was like, this is it.
Okay, yeah, that explains it.
I'm very like, and it's been like that. Like I've just been on this trajectory. But I think that helped me because I really dedicated so much time to it early on, like you said, to learning. So in the first however many years I was dancing, from like early teens to early 20s, I was able to learn so much because I was so like
Focus. Yeah.
and obsessed, and like
The level of commitment and discipline also
yeah.
affects your character as a person too. And you probably were feeling also some growth during that process that probably just make you feel more like a conviction, like, okay, yeah,
Totally.
this is it.
Yeah. Like, of course, we all go through a lot of personal development in our teens and in our 20s, and that was happening. But dance-wise, I've always been really, one, disciplined, and two, just like, I was just like, this is what I want to do. And I've never really felt another way, which I don't think is maybe the norm, especially when you're young, for that to continue being your trajectory.
It's a big deal. Yeah, to practice discipline, I think it's very underrated. Or it's just not, we don't have too many examples sometimes in our lives. I mean, I can't talk for everybody, obviously. That's very general for me to say that. But discipline is a habit that is very important to have. And if you want to get somewhere, it's those everyday moments to get there. And sometimes some personalities, it's easier for them, and some personalities, it's harder. But it's proven, it's example A right here is that you were very disciplined and you were very, you moved, forward every time, little by little.
I think that's been something that's just helped me a lot. To have a consistent and successful career is discipline, is just being like, this is what I need to do every day to make what I want to make happen. And I think that can be a hard aspect of this as a job, because there's not necessarily anyone dictating that and making these boundaries, not boundaries, but like these rules for you. Like, you need to do this much of this. You need to spend your time on this. You have to do like, maybe if you're in a ballet company, there's somebody
giving you a structure,
telling you what you need to do every day to get to this level of performance or level of your career. But here in this dance, I don't think we have as much information and guidance as far as that. We don't have like a rule book, like a game plan. So I think it's harder to be disciplined because we don't always know where we need to be putting all of our time and energy, and people get distracted very easily as well.
And I feel also that the industry changes so much. So that's always
another factor.
Kind of stifling, the growth of what could be a dancer, what could be a professional in this industry.
Yeah, and it's confusing and overwhelming sometimes, because a lot of people tell you different things of what they think you need to be successful. And then there's also like a lot of different versions of what people call success in this industry. So I think it can be overwhelming to kind of pick a lane, and then to know, okay, this is the lane I should pick, first of all. Second of all, okay, these are the things that I need to be spending my time on to really excel in this lane that I've chosen. I think both of those things, there's not a lot of guidance, and it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
I want to ask you about your understanding of discipline, right? And how does that has changed according to also your personal life? you probably had a very different concept of discipline in your teens than in your 20s, than in your 30s. Okay. How do you think you can think about how that concept of discipline has it changed or no?
I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, in my teens, I just loved dancing, so I don't think it was a matter of
Yeah, you enjoy it. Then you just
discipline.
like,
Yeah, just I enjoyed it, so I was just doing it all the time. And I really wanted to be good at it, which just translated into me practicing all the time. And like religiously going to classes and seeking out new teachers and seeking out workshops and stuff like that. So I don't think at that time it felt as much of like a structured
like a regime.
Yeah. But in my 20s, when I really started professionally teaching, touring and teaching, and then going into performance, I've always been very mindful about what's going on around me and watching, and from there being like, okay, this is what I need to focus on. I need to focus this much time on my practice so I reach a certain like physical proficiency. If I'm teaching, I have to work this much on being able to make choreographies people are going to like. I need to research. I need to, especially when I started performing a lot, then I had to add in the gym portion, like keeping
I want to tap into that.
yeah, my body the way that it needed to be for me to get the work that I needed, especially moving to Egypt. Like there's like a checklist of like, what do I need to be able to do skill wise? What do I need to look like physically, and going through what that entailed as like a weekly or a daily routine. It's a lot.
So we have, yeah, let's look at your timeline real quick before we move deeper into those topics, because right now the timeline is like, let's say Shahrzad starting to teach internationally, right? How long did it take you to start teaching internationally to the point where you moved to Egypt? Because throughout all of those, I'm thinking, in my head, she probably was, you tell us, but she probably was gaining all of that, those habits, all the discipline, all of the work that you had to go through to make those changes start to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say when I was 22 or 23 is when I really started to travel a lot. And a lot of my first bookings, like some of them came from people we knew, like going to Canada and stuff like that. But then I also started getting bookings far away, like Asia. And a lot of those early bookings were coming from like viral videos. Some of them were coming from word of mouth. Like I know Aziza suggested me for one of my first European workshop jobs. So they were coming from all these different avenues, like different people suggesting me, people finding me online. The Egypt thing was actually not related to that. It was kind of against that, because I had traveled to Egypt a lot when I was late teens, early 20s. And I, had the dream, as many people still do, to go
all of us go through that.
Yeah. So that was always like in the back of my mind. And I was there during the Arab Spring when the revolution started, the first one. Because I was planning on staying there for a while and training and doing different stuff. But then I had to leave because the revolution started. So that's when I really committed myself more to teaching and started to tour and travel and teach. But actually, a few years later, things calmed down over there, and people that I was training with started asking me if I was going to think about coming back. And at that time, I was ramping up my international touring and teaching, but I didn't like how my dance looked. That was one of my main motivations. I didn't like, on just the workshop circuit, how my dance looked. After performing a lot in my late teens, early 20s with bands in nightclubs in the States, but still, I was performing full time and working a lot with live music and improvising. And then when I started touring and teaching, I didn't like how I was dancing.
You felt or you saw something was off?
Yeah.
What you didn't like. Exactly.
I was like, I want it to be more Egyptian, and I love dancing with live music, and that's the style I want to emulate. And I felt at that point that I was basing too much of what I was doing on what I thought people expected or what I thought
The
I needed
audience.
to be as a workshop teacher, but I didn't like it.
That's a very big, important professional question, right?
Yeah.
Is where do we draw that boundary of what the expectations of our audiences are, our goals, and then what we actually want to do? I find that it's like three things in one. But could you share a little bit more about that process and how you saw it, how you noticed it, how long it took you to get out of that, and what you did
To change stylistically?
to get to where you wanted to, where you envisioned? Yes.
Well, I think that's a longer term process because I think we're always, or rather, we should always be evolving stylistically. If you're really involved in what you're doing from an artistic standpoint, you should always want to be tweaking what you're doing. Not that you should always be unhappy with how your dance looks, but there should always be room for growth and improvement. And like, I want this to look different. So that's never ended. And it takes time. It was a learning process because the way that I wanted to dance, I wanted to emulate a more authentic stylization and stage presence. The stage presence took the longest, not the technique. The stage presence I wanted took the longest time. And I'm only just now feeling like I'm getting that after 10 years in Egypt.
I see it, the difference. I saw it.
Thanks.
I've seen it.
So yeah, I think it was just understanding what my long-term artistic goal was to have this more authentic expression on stage and just committing to the time that was going to take. But that was the first step, was prioritizing going and really undertaking this huge thing of moving and performing and working really hard and training for years, because that's another thing. A lot of people will move to Egypt and never take a class. I was training all the time, and I'm still training with Egyptian dancers on a regular basis. So I wouldn't say it was like I did this step and then I got what I wanted. I would say it was more like I could have continued on and just toured and taught, and I would have been successful, but I don't think I would have been artistically fulfilled by doing that. So making that big shift was more like a commitment to a longer term development of knowledge and style and growth. Does that make sense?
Yes. A lot of people do not think long term.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation that I've had with a few people. And it's just everybody likes a speedy answer. And
Yeah.
honestly, the long term is what you want to have a fulfilling life. You want to have peace in your life. And the long term goals are what I find bring people more peace that I've spoken to in the past. That answered it for me. Hopefully for listeners out there it helped too,
And I think it gives you depth. Because I think if you're looking for a quick solution or a shortcut to notoriety, I don't think that'll ever give you staying power. You know what I mean? Because if you shortcut, you're missing like the development period. You're skipping the
process,
long
yeah.
process and development period in which you learn so much invaluable stuff and you grow as a person. Like you said, you have more time. You're not kind of rushing and just trying to find the shortest way or the shortest cut to getting this one like goal. You're kind of committing to this process in which you develop as a person, you learn about yourself, you learn about what you want, and you grow this like wealth of experience and knowledge. I think it's a really different experience, and it gives you staying power as an artist. If we're talking about work, I think it gives you staying power because you have a lot more to offer and share with other people.
Before we move into your life in Egypt, do you want to ask anything else as we move
No,
to the
I
next
think
chapter?
that's a very powerful observation that you guys are talking about. Like notoriety doesn't necessarily is gonna give you that sense of satisfaction.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like, okay, you were popular, in demand, traveling, getting the money in, but you were watching those videos and were like probably feeling like, oh, this is not what I really
I
wanna
can
get.
do better than this.
Exactly. Or I don't wanna get to be known by this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it takes also a lot to recognize, you know, those desires.
That takes a lot of courage because it takes a lot of courage to stop the quote, quote, successful path and say, is this going to be a riskier path? But I know that in the future, I'm going to feel and perform better. It's a big risk to take, I think.
Yes, I think because if your heart is not into it as an artist, eventually you're just gonna be unhappy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go and travel here that I don't wanna go to teach something that I'm not really even feeling it.
Yeah, I think a lot of dancers who kind of work in the commercial realm end up having to make decisions like that and get put in hard places like that.
Yes.
As like with people being like, well, money and success, whatever success means, because that can mean a million things to different people. Or being really true to yourself artistically and being like, no, artistically, this is what I want. I'm not just picking what's going to make me the most rich or the most famous, but like what's going to fulfill me as a dancer or as a person. Because you're right. Yeah, like some people will make a choice and then they're just miserable, to be honest.
I see it a lot in the market here. Some dancers that dedicate completely to the entertainment world, and then suddenly they're not feeding that artistic part of themselves.
Yeah,
and
they
then
get bored.
They get bored, exactly. They get bored, and they have this sense of insatisfaction, and then suddenly the gig doesn't really fulfill me, and I don't want to do it, and then they drop it.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah.
because
You burn out faster.
You
when
burn
you're
out
not,
faster.
like,
That's what I'm
into
trying.
what you're
Yes,
doing.
yes.
And you're not enjoying what you're doing. I think
That's
you burn
a
out faster.
great
And that you have a goal
observation,
too,
yeah.
because, for example, let's put it in a very small situation. You have the students that only come for choreography programs, but because they have a goal to perform. You know, that's like a small short-term example. And then as a professional, you know, you get, in order for us to keep these fires under our butt alive, the goal is that, you know, those performances at the end, we have to work towards those. So it's important to keep not just the discipline and the those habits, but those goals, so that we can keep performing productively and efficiently and happy.
Yeah.
You
I think
know?
artistic goals are really important to have. Not just professional goals, which are also really important, you know, to have both professional goals, but also artistic goals that are going to like feed your soul.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And those don't always have to be measured on like stage time. Artistic
That's
goals.
right.
It's good to
We're
have
ready to-
both to keep you going, because like you said, sometimes you burn out so hard when you're just bored, when what you're doing is just monotonous and your heart's not in it. You get super burnout. It's a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. Well, let's get to your life in Egypt.
Okay.
Fun.
Next chapter.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
The tea.
A short 10-year chapter.
Give us a scope. Give us a general scope, and then we'll hone into what you want to hone into.
All right. So I moved there when I was 25, which looking back on it seems crazy to me because I was like, I was just a baby. And it's already been more than 10 years, so that's crazy. Yeah, I was lucky because I had a lot of like great mentorship and encouragement from teachers and performers there when I moved there. I will always be grateful for that because I actually showed up with a lot of support and had some good connections and getting my first jobs. I was really picky about what I wanted to do when I got there, performance-wise, and I feel happy that I did that. Like, the first few months I wasn't very busy because I was being really picky. Like, no, I want this caliber of work and this kind of work. I want to work in really nice venues. I want to work for Egyptian and Arab audiences, and I want to work with a band. So it took time to get that going because those were more coveted jobs, you know? But I was lucky that I was able to do so much of that throughout my career there. So my work ramped up over the first like year or two I was there. And so I had a good maybe 4 or 5 year stint, really heavily performing full time, and it just got more and more dense. So I worked between hotels and weddings and cabarets, and I did some media. I did some like movies and video clips a little bit. So I really got to do the full range of work that I wanted to do, which was great. And then COVID happened and it cut everything. And that's when I really pivoted in the past 5-6 years. I've been focusing again much more into teaching because I did try to go back to performing after that, but I found that the nightlife landscape had changed so drastically because of COVID. And I also had a time to kind of sit and reassess what I wanted in my life, like what I
the
wanted.
pandemia, that time
Yeah.
that we were all in lockdown,
Yeah.
having an existential crisis.
Yeah, because sometimes, and I think
yeah,
this can be said for a lot of dancers, when you're in the performance world, it's so fast paced and like it takes so much of your time and energy. You don't have a moment to breathe and look at anything outside of this bubble of what your life is. So that gave me the chance to rest and really look at what my life looked like and think about what I want my life to look like. Because 2020, I turned 30. So that's also a turning point, right? When you go from your 20s to your 30s, I was like, what do I want the next 10 years to look like? Do I want them to look the same as the past 5 years have looked like? So I tried to go back to performing, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, especially because what I wanted to do was not as available anymore for performers. Like the context in which I liked to dance wasn't there that much anymore. And they were really pushing like the disco work, and I just wasn't into it. Like we said just now, like, could I have continued and done that all night, every night, and made a lot of money and been successful? Yes. But I wasn't into it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I'm so stubborn. If I don't like something, I'm like, absolutely not. I can't even adjust my face when I'm doing something I don't like. I'm just like, this sucks. Ugh. So I was like, okay, now is the time where I pivot again towards teaching and also build more of a personal life, because my late 20s were just consumed by performing. I didn't have a personal life. I was super lonely. I was just performing all night, every night, and then sleeping all day. Like, it sucked. I was so lonely and bored. So I was also like, I would like a personal life now. Thank you. I want to spend more time with friends. I want to like have a healthy relationship. And that for me, at least, that was not like doable with the full-time performance life. So I pivoted, and the last years I've really been focusing in on my teaching again. I'll still perform here and there for special events and stuff, but it's just not my focus anymore. So that's like a short recap of the years in Egypt. Obviously, lots of other stuff happened, and I've gone and explored a lot of different avenues and learned so much. But work-wise, that was the trajectory.
Teaching and tours.
Yes, and tours.
And tours.
In
We can't forget that.
In the past 4 or 5 years, I really got to start, exploring, bringing people to Egypt and sharing really cool experiences and stuff. So that's been cool.
And they're amazing tours. I just took my first one with Val and you this past January. But you both have been collaborating together. See, this is another part of why I wanted to start with both of you and interviewing both of you in your relationship, because am I right to say that the tours started happening between you two, or whose idea was it? How did that come about, that collaboration of tours in Egypt for dancers?
It's something I was thinking about doing for a while, because over my years in Egypt, I was very proactive about traveling all over the place and really seeking out different experiences, making connections in different areas, like with folklore dancers, with musicians. And what I noticed was watching people that I knew coming to visit Egypt. A lot of them walked away with not a very good experience for whatever reason. So that inspired me at first to want to bring groups just to, I don't know, I enjoyed my time there so much, and I still do. So I wanted to make sure that if people came to visit, they just had the best time, the best experience. Because having had that dream myself, I know how much it meant to people, that experience. So I was like, oh, I would love to help facilitate. So the first one I did was with my friend Lisa. And then I think very soon after, we did our first one together.
Yeah, I think the first one was Lisa. Mine was the second one.
Yeah.
And from there,
yeah, it just
we
kept
have
growing.
Going.
It kept growing. So now I'm doing a few a year. Next year,
they're
doing like
amazing.
4.
Wow. They
They're
really are
amazing.
Yeah, they really are. Not just because you're here and we're like, I'm not selling it that way, but it really is amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really happy you enjoyed.
It's a hard country to tour. I would not be able to tour it by myself. I don't think I would. I think I would be very unhappy, and it's challenging enough. So to be, some countries you kind of just have to tour with a group of people, and I think Egypt is, at least for me, one of those. So it's beautiful.
I think it's helpful to just have somebody who can point you in the right direction of things, because it's so overwhelming there, like where to stay, how to secure a good guide. Some people try to go without a guide. And for me, for touristic sites, I'm like, don't do that. You know what I mean? So people just show up thinking it's like a European city where they can just wander around by themselves. And I'm like, no, I think you need to have someone tell you specifically where to go. This city is huge, as you guys know. It is huge. The touristic sites, some of them, they're not even easy to get to.
Right.
You can't get there with public
Sakara.
transportation. No way. You got to drive in the middle of the farmland out into the desert. Like, no, it's. I don't think people realize.
Too. There's a lot of people visiting.
Yeah, there's
too.
a lot of traffic. There's a lot of hustlers around the touristic areas, and also there's just like all of these other hidden gems that you would never know about unless someone told you. If you only were on this like tourist beaten path, you'd have a bad time. You'd eat bad food. You'd get hustled for tons of money. Like, you would just not have a good experience. So I think it's just good the first time you go to have some guidance of some sort. from somebody, just to make sure you make the most of your trip, because it's a big trip for a lot of people.
And I think one of the greatest things about the tours, it's how it does really bring visibility and support to local artists. And I wanted it to talk because when we talk about, okay, I'm going to move to Egypt to have a dance career, there's this tendency sometimes from us just thinking that the only available option is the entertainment world in Egypt, right? And I remember talking to you in the past, and you're like, I like what Jasmina has done with her Airbnb in Egypt. And I want you to share a little bit with us. Like, definitely the pandemic was a moment where you actually had some type of reflection of where you were. But also, how did that, how do you realize, okay, I can do so much things that are going to be beneficial for the dance, okay, beyond the entertainment world, which I think you also tap into ladies events. You also tap into other things like the tours. Can you tell us a little bit about that awakening, and how do you actually said, you know what, there's so many ways I can actually dance?
Yeah. Well, obviously, when I first moved there, I wanted to do the performance thing. But I also went there with a plethora of other goals in advance, like the learning goals, wanting to really elevate what I was doing as a dancer and train with a lot of local dancers, learn more about the music. I really had the long-term goal of producing music there. I had the long-term goal of learning the language. Like, I think what helped me was that my sights were wider. Like, my lens of the experience of Egypt was wider than being a star performer, as far as the experience that I wanted to gain and have while I was there. And I really wanted to explore the country and see all of these different amazing things. That was the first thing that was important, I think, was that wider lens. And then I did meet like all these interesting people. And I found over time that the role models that I had, it was much more about what their life looked like, not what their career looked like. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah. In general, there's a couple dancers who I've looked up to in different ways, not just about the dance skill. Obviously, we all have our favorite dancers, but also I'm like, I love this dancer because how she's built her business. I respect her for what she's created with her business as a businesswoman and how she's structured it and how she shows up and how she interacts with people. And then another person, I'm like, I love how she's built her life, how she's developed this beautiful life for herself. You know, long term, those have become bigger role models for me. And I think that directed me as well. So I was looking beyond the singular goal of just wanting to be as famous as a performer as I could. And I was looking more at these other options of like what interests me, like what brings me joy. Like the tours bring me so much joy. It's so great to get to share stuff with people and watch other people be happy. That makes me more happy than a lot of the performing I was doing. And building, like I said, building a life. And I'm just looking at a much broader picture.
But I think it's beautiful because the connection that you also build during that performing time, you also bring them to your tour.
That's true.
Yeah. So
I didn't waste my time on the stage. I made a lot of good connections.
You made a lot of good connections.
Long-term connections with people.
When we go with Shahrzad, we have a very good Shahrzad table. We go to the hotels and the cabaret. And I think that it's that speaks a lot about the type of relationship you also built in Egypt during all this time. Because I hear you say, I went for training and But that's a lot of research too that you have to do, building those relationships, learning about these artists, how do they work, how do I work in this environment, and then trying to also develop a business during a tour. Like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's years of actually, having real human
Yes.
interactions
Real
with
human
people.
connections and building good relationships and good rapport with people. That's been super helpful in all the avenues of my work.
Exactly.
In the teaching avenue, like having Egyptian instructors speak highly of me and be really like positive about collaborating with me. That's been helpful. The musician connections, because a lot of the musicians that work on the circuit of nightclubs and stuff, like I'm using them again when I produce music. I'm hiring them back in when we do like private events or live music classes. In the pandemic, when I started my online stuff, I was bringing in all these performers and teachers that I knew from different places in my career to help support them when there wasn't performance opportunities. Like, yeah, there's a lot of long-term, like positive artistic and working connections that I've made that have definitely helped me in all of these different avenues that I've approached. And I think that's another thing that is important, not just in Egypt, but everywhere, is just like to approach everyone with humility. Sure, there's going to be people you don't get along with. That's normal. It's fine.
Whatever.
But like, whatever. But in general, like to take the time to build those human connections. I don't think people realize in the long term how much positive connections with other artists and other people in the fields can really like benefit you in ways beyond you, like what you could envision in the short term. That's definitely been a thing.
I would like to close on my last question, or our last question is, what myths would you like to challenge or debunk in the belly dance industry professionally?
I think I don't know. I don't know if there would be myths or maybe just misconceptions.
Misconceptions.
Yeah. Like one of the main ones that I have mentioned a few times in recent years is the idea of a singular version of what being a successful dancer looks like. Because I think the most successful dancers are the ones that carve their own path. And the path can be like this. It can be like this. You can dip yourself in a lot of different things. But I think a lot of people, especially if you look at Egypt and people talking about wanting to come and wanting to perform, have this incredibly singular idea of what success looks like as a dancer, as a pro dancer, what success looks like and what success means. And I think that's such like a limiting mindset for you artistically and life-wise too, because that's also cornering yourself in a certain lifestyle, you know? And I think that maybe another misconception, which is true to some extent, is like you can't have a good personal life balance and have a full-time dance career. But I think that's related, because if you're thinking of this one singular idea of a success as being like performing full time, maybe it's not going to be compatible, but there's a lot of other ways that you could have a balanced, fulfilling life in many different ways and still have a happy and successful dance career that you enjoy. Because sometimes I think people really think and do pick one or the other. But I think you can have both depending on what your idea of success looks like and how you shape your career and your life to intertwine or to complement each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
To me, it does.
And I think over the conversation, you have definitely provided a lot of examples on how do you pivot professionally, basically according to your personal situations in the moment and what you wanted it out for you as a person, not necessarily as a dancer. And I think it's important. It's important because we have Bojenka here, and we had many interviews of dancers that sometimes the professional career actually takes control of your life.
Absolutely. It did of mine for some years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
it can.
And even, for example, in the performance circuit too, like you say, it's very fast paced. You don't have time to actually think about it. And then it gets to a moment where it actually hits you. And some dancers, they have kind of like a hardcore fallout that they just like realize either their youth doesn't allow it for them to continue doing it, or they just, that was the only thing that they put their eggs is in only that basket.
Yeah.
And for the longevity, talking about long term, I think it's also important to understand how to evolve with our careers also according to how are we evolving in life.
Yeah. The flexibility is important if you want to keep what you're doing going. And I think, like I said earlier, sometimes taking the slow route and not the shortcut, again, it just gives you more time to make connections, more time to discover different avenues, more time to know your versatility as a dancer, more time to build skills and knowledge so that you actually can kind of have a more fluid look to your career and pivot when you need to, instead of being stuck in this like one lane forever that might not even be the lane you're supposed to be in, you know? Because a lot of people put themselves there, they put themselves on that track, but not everybody is going to reach the end of that track when it comes to like, this is what success looks like, being a star performer in Cairo or something like that.
This was a super inspirational. I'm very inspired. I love your story. And I hope that it also helped everybody who's listening, anybody who's listening, help them maybe reflect a little bit about where they are, no matter at the place where they are, whether it's young, whatever the age, who cares? Wherever you are, reflect. I got a lot of, my biggest takeaways were the hardcore discipline that you went through. I'm not like that. So, I mean, no, I'm not like that. But I admire it because those are very useful tools. And the way that you have shifted and been flexible in your decision making, even though you have had these long-term goals. So, like you said, the flexibility is important. And to learn how you and your personality can be flexible, because that can be a very generalized term.
Sure.
Anybody can be flexible, but like, how are you going to be authentically flexible and be able to shift into what your next phase should be and not have to force anything?
Yeah.
That's a big deal too,
Beautiful.
I think.
Yeah.
So I got all of that from you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks for that. Yeah, the forcing thing, that's a really good observation, because I think a lot of us do kind of try to force ourselves sometimes into certain paths. And there's something brave about pushing back against that, because I think a lot of that comes from like external pressure or even just like not being sure. Yeah, that's a great takeaway. I love that.
It is.
No
What about you?
forcing.
No forcing. What about you? Any closing thoughts before we say bye-bye?
I think, I think it's important to really be mindful, like really be very present in every project that we're doing, every professional step that we're taking. Not to take it just for this, because this is what it's like, to really ask yourself, what do you want? You know, and your artist also needs to be part of that conversation
Yes.
too.
Art is definitely connected to human connections. So like having
Totally.
real human connections. That is 100% what I got after the Egypt trip from that experience.
Totally, yeah.
Lots of human connection there. That's what we like to do.
Yeah.
That's what I get the most out of. Yeah. That's nice.
All right. Well, we are finito. We are done. Thank you so much again for this beautiful conversation. And that's it, everybody. If you guys have questions, you know where to reach us. We hope to have Shahrzad again in the future. We'll
Sure.
see for another conversation. If anybody
sure.
has more questions, let's give her more time to, gather more experiences in Egypt, and then we'll ask her for the tea. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching.
Thank you.
Bye.